Hey everyone, big thanks to LitRPG Reads and to Paul Bello. Fine fellow, that Paul Bello.
Okay.
This article on D&D campaign finales really got my gears turning. You know, it reminds me of this one campaign I was in. Oh man, it was years ago. We were up against this queen, right? Total tyrant. And get this, the whole time she was manipulating us. It was classic. But we finally, cornered her in her throne room. But here's the thing. Instead of some big, crazy battle, we ended up having this deep philosophical debate all about power and justice and stuff. So unexpected, but man, it was unforgettable. And that's what we're diving into today, creating epic, memorable D&D finales, the kind your players will be talking about for years. So let's crack open this LitRPG Reads article, see what we can learn.
I love that the article starts with setting the stage. You can't just spring the finale on your players. It has to feel like the natural conclusion to everything, to the whole campaign.
Right, that's a fit.
One of the keys is foreshadowing, dropping those little hints, little details that seem small at the time, but then later, they point toward the final showdown.
Like breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Breadcrumbs.
Okay, I love that. But how do we do that effectively? Without being too obvious about it.
It's all about subtlety. For example, instead of just telling them about the villain's evil plans, they could uncover clues through their actions.
I see.
Maybe they find a journal that hints at the villain's motives, or overhear a conversation between the villain's minions. Or even use seemingly random encounters to foreshadow things. Let's say they run into some refugees, fleeing from a war, right? During that interaction, they learn something crucial about the villain's army, maybe, or a prophecy about the final confrontation.
Okay, so it's about weaving it in, making those discoveries feel natural, not just an info dump.
Exactly. Create that sense of mystery. Keep them guessing, and then when they connect the dots, boom, aha, moment. You know what else can add a layer to that? Tying the foreshadowing to the players' backstories.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine one of your players has a connection to an NPC. Seems like a minor character. But later on, bam, they're a key figure in the finale.
It's like everything's connected.
Right. Their personal story gets woven into the main plot, and the stakes just got higher.
I like it. It's like in a movie. You think it's just a random character, but then twist. Yeah, they were important all along. So we've got the breadcrumbs leading to the finale. But what about the final encounter itself? The article talked about an encounter design framework.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's about recognizing that epic doesn't always mean a huge battle. It could be any kind of encounter that really tests them.
Okay.
A puzzle, a tense negotiation, even a mix of different challenges.
Right, so it's about what fits the campaign.
Exactly. The key is that it aligns with the tone of your campaign.
Yeah.
And gives the players that payoff for all their effort.
Makes sense. So the final encounter could be anything, really.
Yeah, it could be a dungeon, sure.
Yeah.
But it could also be a courtroom drama, a heist,
Yeah.
an escape. Whatever fits the narrative and challenges the players.
I like it. But let's say we do want a big battle for the finale. How do we make that memorable? Not just another fight.
One technique is multi-phase battles.
Multi-phase.
Imagine defeating the main bad guy doesn't mean it's over.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe there's a ritual they have to stop, or a hidden weakness they have to find. Each phase, there are new challenges.
Like a boss fight in a video game.
Exactly.
You don't just hit it till it dies.
There are stages, new attacks, vulnerabilities. You have to adapt, work as a team.
It adds layers to the fight. I like it. And you know what would make that even better? Tying those phases to the players' backstories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, imagine a paladin facing a fallen angel, but that angel was their mentor. Or a rogue confronting the person who ruined their family.
That was personal.
Right. It's not just a random villain, it's a nemesis. Makes the victory that much sweeter.
Or the defeat more heartbreaking.
Exactly. It's all about the stakes, making it feel like their past is connected to the fate of the world.
And it doesn't have to be something huge either. Sometimes a small detail can be incredibly powerful.
Oh, like what?
Let's say one of your players has a rogue, known for their special dagger, right? What if the villain steals that dagger, uses it against them?
Ooh, that's good.
Now it's not just about getting a weapon back. It's personal, reclaiming part of their identity.
I love that. Even a simple object can become so meaningful when it's tied to their journey. So we've talked about setting the stage, building anticipation, designing epic encounters, but a truly memorable finale. It needs to be more than just mechanics, right? It needs to hit you in the feels. Those moments that make your players gasp, cheer, cry. We're talking about emotional impact.
And what's interesting about that is, it's not always about big gestures. Sometimes the most powerful moments, they come from the smallest details.
Okay.
Think about a movie. The hero and the villain are fighting. It's not just about who wins, it's the look in their eyes, the unspoken words. You feel the history between them.
I get it.
Those subtle moments stick with you.
So how do we create those moments in D&D?
The article had a section on that.
Okay, what did it say?
Techniques like sacrifices, reunions, revelations, farewells.
Okay, those are big.
Like, what if an NPC sacrifices themselves to save the party? Or a long-lost family member shows up? Or a shocking truth about the world is revealed?
Wow, yeah.
Those are the kind of moments that leave a mark.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But how do we make those moments feel real? Like, it's one thing to plan a dramatic scene, but how do we make it hit home for the players?
Weave those emotional beats into the narrative. If your campaign has been about reclaiming a homeland, the finale could involve a bittersweet victory.
Okay.
They succeed, but at a cost.
Oh, I see.
Maybe they have to choose between saving their homeland or an NPC. Or their victory has unintended consequences. So It's not just pure triumph.
It's more complicated than that.
Right. It's about human emotion, even in a fantasy setting.
Yeah, it's about the layers, the shades of gray that make the story feel real. And ultimately, more impactful. I think we've covered a lot here. Setting the stage, epic encounters, emotional impact. It's all about creating a finale that's more than just an ending. It's a celebration of the whole campaign. And I'm eager to dive into that aspect more. But before we do, let's take a quick break. We'll be back soon to explore how to turn your D&D finale into a truly shared experience where everyone contributes to those lasting memories. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. You know, after the big finale, there are those quiet moments, the ones that happen after the dust settles. Those can really stick with the players.
You're right. You need a moment to breathe, to let it all sink in, appreciate the journey, So how do we create that sense of closure?
The article talks about a reflection framework.
Yeah, what's that all about?
It's about guiding those post-finale reflections. One of the key things is to recap the key events.
Makes sense.
But not just like a boring summary.
Right.
Encourage your players to share their perspective. What stood out to them? How did they feel during those big decisions? What did they learn?
I like that.
Turn that recap into a shared story.
Yeah, it's like weaving together a tapestry of memories. Each thread is a different perspective. But it's not just about looking back.
No, it's about looking forward to.
What do you mean?
Seeing the impact the campaign had on the characters, on the world.
I see.
The article mentions addressing the fates of NPCs, showing how the players changed the world, maybe even leaving some mysteries hanging.
Okay, to keep them thinking.
Exactly. Like, let's say they defeated a corrupt ruler, right?
Okay.
How does that change things? Do they help set up a new government? Does it spark a rebellion somewhere else?
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly.
It's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter.
Right. A new era shaped by their actions.
And it doesn't have to be huge, world-changing stuff either. Sometimes it's the personal impacts that are most meaningful. Maybe a character settles down, starts a family, or rebuilds a village. Or they all go their separate ways, but they carry the lessons with them.
That's beautiful.
It's about showing how they've changed.
And you know what else can enhance those reflections?
What's that?
Tangible things.
Tangible things?
Yeah, give them something to take home, like a hand-drawn map of their journey with little notes about their adventures.
I love it.
Or a personalized token for each character, something that represents their achievements.
It's a piece of the campaign world they can keep. So much better than just saying, the end. And you know what? That ties in perfectly with collaborative storytelling. We touched on it earlier, but I think it deserves more attention.
Absolutely. It's crucial.
The article really emphasizes giving players agency, letting them shape the narrative.
It's so easy to think of the DM as the director, and the players are just the actors.
Right. But that's not really D&D.
Exactly. It's more like improv. The DM sets the stage, gives some prompts, but the players bring the characters to life. They react to things. They improvise.
And that's where the magic happens.
Exactly, those unscripted moments.
So how do we foster that as Dungeon Masters? How do we give them freedom without losing control?
Ask open-ended questions.
Oh, good one.
Instead of saying, you enter the tavern, what do you do?
Yeah.
Try this. You push open the heavy oak doors. The air is thick with the scent of ale and roasted meat. A raucous song spills out from a group of dwarves huddled around a table. What catches your attention first?
That's good.
You set the scene, but you leave room for them to contribute.
I like it. It's not just telling, it's asking.
Right. And it's not just about the setting either. Encourage them to describe their actions, how they interact with NPCs, even their inner thoughts.
So we're saying this is your story too. Help us tell it.
Exactly.
That sense of ownership is what makes D&D special.
It's not just a game, it's collaborative art.
Right. And there's that idea of weaving player backstories into the finale. We talked about it with personal stakes, but it can be even more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like imagine a character has been searching for their sibling.
Right. And then boom, the sibling is working for the villain.
Wow.
Now they have this impossible choice.
Stay true to the mission or try to save their sibling.
Exactly. That's powerful.
It adds so much depth.
And it doesn't have to be a big reveal either. Sometimes the small connections are the most impactful.
Like what?
What if a character has a phobia of spiders?
Okay.
And in the final battle, they have to face a giant spider to save their friends.
Oh, man.
They have to overcome their fear to save the day.
That's really good.
It ties their backstory to the climax of the campaign.
It makes everything feel connected.
Exactly.
So we've got foreshadowing, epic encounters, emotional impact, and collaborative storytelling. It's like building this symphony of narrative, all leading to this grand finale. But how do we make sure it's not just an ending, but a celebration of the whole campaign?
That's where campaign integration comes in.
Okay, tell me more.
It's about weaving together all those threads, the foreshadowing, the character arcs, the themes, the emotional beats. It all has to culminate in a finale that feels right.
Like it was meant to be.
Exactly. Think about the final episodes of your favorite TV show. They tie up all the loose ends. You get that sense of closure.
You might be sad it's over, but you're satisfied.
Right, because the story reached its natural conclusion.
And it's even better when you realize all those little details from earlier.
Yeah.
They were actually clues, foreshadowing. They all led to that finale.
It's like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
And when you can do that as a DM, it's so rewarding.
Okay, so how do we get to that level? How do we make sure the finale isn't just a standalone event?
It starts with planning.
Planning.
Not in a rigid way,
Okay.
but in a way that lets you plant those seeds, establish the themes, develop those character arcs throughout the campaign.
Like a gardener tending their plants.
Exactly. You nurture them, guide their growth, and eventually you see them blossom.
But gardening takes time and patience. Are there any specific techniques we can use?
One technique is what they call echoing.
Echo.
Bringing back elements from earlier in the campaign. Characters, objects, locations, themes, and giving them new significance in the finale.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say they found a mysterious artifact early on,
Okay.
but its purpose was unclear. What if, in the finale, it turns out that artifact is the key to defeating the villain?
Oh, that's cool.
Or it unlocks some hidden truth about the world.
It's like those moments in a movie. You see a random object from before,
Yeah,
and suddenly it has a whole new meaning.
exactly. Nothing was wasted. Everything had a purpose.
And it's not just objects, right?
Nope. You can echo characters, locations, even entire storylines.
Like they revisit a place from their first adventure,
Exactly.
but now the stakes are higher.
The challenges are greater.
It's a callback, but it's also moving the story forward.
Exactly.
It's like, remember that cool thing we did? Well, it's back and it's even better now.
And you know it's even more powerful
What's that?
when those echoes tie into the player's backstories.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a player had a traumatic experience in a certain location.
Okay.
And in the finale, they have to go back there to confront their foes and save the day.
Wow.
It takes those personal stakes to another level.
It's about showing how their past experiences have shaped them,
Exactly.
both in the game and in real life.
It makes the story more real, more relatable,
Yeah.
and more impactful.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here, reflecting on the journey, collaborative storytelling, weaving together those campaign threads. It's all about creating a finale that's more than just an ending. But there's one more element the article mentioned that I think is crucial: celebrating the group.
Absolutely.
A D&D campaign is a team effort, and a great finale should celebrate everyone's contributions.
Exactly.
So how do we make sure everyone feels appreciated?
Start with simple gratitude.
Gratitude.
Thank each player for their commitment, their creativity, their enthusiasm.
I like it.
Share specific examples of how they brought their characters to life, how they made you laugh, how they surprised you with their ingenuity.
Those little moments.
Exactly. Let them know you appreciate having them at the table, that their presence made the campaign better, and that you'll cherish the memories.
Sometimes those words are all it takes.
Absolutely.
Because in the end, it's not about the loot or the experience points. It's about the connections, the stories, the memories.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
And while words are important, Tangible expressions of gratitude are nice, too.
Oh, like what?
The article suggests personalized gifts
Okay.
or mementos that commemorate the campaign, little things that represent each player's contribution.
Like what?
It could be a handwritten note from their character's favorite NPC.
Oh, that's sweet.
Or a custom dice bag embroidered with their character's emblem.
I love that.
It shows you care, that you value them.
It's a physical reminder of the adventure.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be expensive.
No, it's the thought that counts.
The personal touch.
And sometimes the best gifts are handmade.
Now I'm picturing this cozy game room, fairy lights, a fireplace, a table full of snacks and drinks, and personalized gifts for everyone.
It's like a D&D holiday party.
Yeah.
Celebrating the bonds and memories.
That's a perfect image.
It's not just about the end of the story. It's about celebrating the journey, the friendships, the shared love of storytelling.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And on that note of celebration, I think we're ready to wrap up our deep dive. But before we do, another shout out to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello. Fine fellow, that Paul Bello. You know, after all that talk about finales, I'm feeling pretty inspired, ready to level up my DM game.
One thing that really stuck with me from the article, it's how it makes us think differently about campaign finales.
Yeah.
It's not just the end, you know, it's a culmination, a celebration, a transformation.
Right. It's the whole journey. Which brings us to this really cool concept, the legacy of the campaign.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's about looking beyond the plot.
Right.
And seeing the lasting impact. What did the player's actions really change?
It makes you think bigger.
It's not just about defeating the villain.
It's about how their actions reshape the world. What stories will be told about their deeds? What will their legacy be?
Man, that gives me chills. So how do we bring that to life in our games?
One way is to focus on the ripple effects.
Ripple effects?
Like, let's say they saved a kingdom from a tyrant.
Okay, classic D&D.
What happens next? Do they help build a new government? Do they inspire a renaissance? Do they leave behind peace or a world scarred by war?
Their actions have consequences.
Exactly.
And we as DMs get to show those consequences.
Both good and bad.
It's not just about the ending, it's about what comes after.
If this story continues.
And those legacies, they don't have to be huge world-changing events. Sometimes it's the personal stuff that matters most.
Oh, absolutely.
Like maybe a character starts a school for young mages, or they rebuild a village that was destroyed.
They leave their mark on the world.
It's about showing that even small actions can have a huge impact.
And you know what else adds to that?
What's that?
Tying it back to those backstories.
Ah, yes. Always got to bring it back to the backstory.
Well, imagine the character discovers their ancestors were involved in some big historical event.
Okay.
An event that's shaping the current conflict.
Wow.
Suddenly, it's not just about the cause, it's about family.
They're fighting to honor their legacy.
Or maybe to break free from it.
That's intense. Their personal history is woven into the fate of the world.
It's like those epic sagas. You realize history matters.
And our actions have consequences that echo through time.
Exactly.
Man, we've covered a lot today. From setting the stage to epic encounters to emotional impact, collaborative storytelling, campaign integration, and even legacy, it all comes down to this. Creating finales that are more than just endings. They're transformations, celebrations, and the start of something new. Huge thanks again to LitRPG Reads, and to Paul Bello, of course. Fine fellow, that Paul Bello. And to you, our amazing listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep those dice rolling and those imaginations soaring. Until next time.